everybody. I'm Betty Lou Sandy of the Spruce Street Community Garden right here in Manchester, Connecticut. Today, we're going to be talking about growing your own food at home in the winter in the house. So, there's so many things you can grow indoors. And these days, when you go to the grocery store, you're not sure if they're really going to have what it is you're looking for. You don't really know how many hands have handled everything that you're getting or what country it might have come from. So, isn't it wonderful to be able to grow your own food at home? And in these cold, dark winter months, isn't it wonderful to just walk into the other room and clip something for dinner or for a snack? Today, we're going to talk about having your basic vegetable garden in a window box. Could have been something you used outside this year, like this one that we will plant. But right now, I just wanted you to see that I planted this one a week ago. And you can already see, now this shade was up all week and I've been watering it every day. You can already see the sprouts of the lettuce and the spinach. I have a row of spinach, I have a row of lettuce. Now, what I did is to put in moist potting soil. That's all you need, moist potting soil, not wet, but moist potting soil. And I usually use a container of potting soil, even a small trough, and mix it up with some water. And I just mix it up and mix it up. I'll come back a little while later, put a little more water in it, because these are like a zillion little sponges. Have you ever really looked at potting soil? It's basically peat moss with a few other things in it, and they're like a zillion little sponges, dry sponges. And as soon as they get the water, they absorb it into themselves. Then, when you put the seeds in, the seeds have a chance to absorb the water. Now, when the water goes into the seeds, they only need moisture and warmth. It doesn't have to be super warm because we're working with what we call cold weather hardy crops. Cold weather hardy crops are any of these that do very nicely in a container like this. Here we have lettuce and we have spinach. I just started these last week, as I mentioned, and I've been watering them every morning. Now, I do see a little seed pod right on top of the leaves of the spinach, so I can take that off because it won't degrade too well. Now, the spinach did very well. They're not too close, but it looks like the lettuce got a little close together. So, I'm going to take out a few of these, and I'm going to save them because they're delicious. They're called sprouts. We spend a lot of money for sprouts at the grocery store, but we have them right here. So I'll take a few more of these out. This is called thinning. Sometimes the seeds are so small that we can't, it's hard to get them into the right place. There. Now I've got a little something to snack on later. Sometimes I have a little bowl next to me when I'm thinning out my vegetables, and the bowl has a little water in it. I throw them in there, and then I can just pick them out. It's great. I like to use popsicle sticks because they're free and fun. You have to eat the ice cream or the popsicle before you get one. So that's nice too. Anyway, I use permanent markers, and they come in different colors, so you can even color code if you want to make it really easy, or if you're maybe planting with children. Cold weather crops like this are fun to do indoors, even in a classroom or homeschooling. It's a wonderful thing for seniors or anybody who just likes to eat and wants to know where their food comes from. Notice how all these sprouts are leaning towards the window. We had to close the window shades today for this video, but during the daytime, the shades were up, so the warm southern exposure was heating up and giving enough energy to these new sprouts, and they were leaning towards the window. So we don't want them to keep leaning that way. So once a week, I like to lift it up and just turn it around. You see how the sprouts are now facing towards the inside of the house? But in another day or so, they're going to be up straight and then start leaning towards the window again. That's giving it exercise to give it a sturdy stem, and you'll have better food. I mentioned about water. Watering in the morning is very important. Now, when you're first planting your seeds, you only have to mist them with a mister bottle. If you have a stream, it might move the seeds around, and then you'll have to do much more thinning out and rearranging of things, and that never works well for the germinating of the plants. So I use a mister bottle. And before they germinate, that means before they sprout, they only need a little bit of moisture in the moistened soil that you already have twice a day. Early in the morning and the middle of the afternoon would be good. Now, once you have things established and they're starting to do their little root system, I'll show you what it looks like. Here's one of the little sprouts that I thinned from between the lettuce plants. And it shows you how the root system is already developing quickly. This is only in a week. So these come up very quickly, and it's very rewarding to watch. After about 8 days or fewer, if it's not sprouting, you know that maybe it's an older plant, older seed. But these are doing very nicely. It's got the stem, it's got 2 leaves, it's got the little root, and that tells you how deep the roots are so far, as well as the importance of not drowning them and being careful not to push them around with too much water force. So we go very gently the first couple of weeks. After that, you're okay with a regular watering can. Another quick grower are radishes. There are many different kinds. This happens to be an heirloom variety. And their seeds are much bigger than some of the others. I'm going to pinch one at a time and just put them in here. That will give them a little more of a head start. And by next week, they'll be up too. And then, within 2 weeks, I might even be able to harvest one. Now with this, you have to cover them over just a little bit. Notice I didn't put them very deeply. They don't need to be deep. That's why this kind of box is just perfect. This is a window box that we use this summer. Here we have a baby impatiens plant that hadn't even had a chance to bloom yet. So I'm going to leave it there and plant vegetables around it. It'll be great because then next spring, I'll have this big flower to be able to transplant for next summer. Now, impatiens like shade, so being indoors is going to be just perfect. Now, you might have seen that we have some leftovers from the acorns. The squirrels have been very busy. I have a little baby tree here. That can come out. But everything else, I can just fluff up the potting soil that's in here. If you've got some compost nearby, that would be good to just throw a little in afterwards. Matter of fact, this other container would be perfect for throwing in some compost now. But in the meantime, I'm going to throw a little bit of Epsom salts. Epsom salts, good for the feet, good for the roots. Magnesium sulfate is what it is. Good for the roots. Now, you don't have to use tools. I like using my fingers, but I thought I would show you, oh well, leftovers, a little bit of some of the small tools that you can use indoors. And they just help things to be a little more even. Right. Now, it's all ready, and I can plant a few more things. I think since I started some here, and I really like baby spinach, I'm going to plant a few more. Now these seeds could be soaked overnight. By the way, the next video is going to be about starting plants from seed. So you can start your vegetable garden as well as indoor plants from seed in the next video. I'm pushing these into the soil as I go. I was leaving a hole so I could see where I had done them before, but I think I'll be all right. This is a small enough space. Won't it be fun? Can you just imagine having the flour and the spinach? Oh, maybe another one in here. And another one in there. Just a little bit. Now, if you remember a moment ago, I mentioned, oh, by the way, I cut a little corner rather than the whole thing. I'm less likely to lose all the seeds. So now I use my mister bottle. The soil is nice and moist to begin with, but I'm moistening the surface of the soil so it'll take care of those little seeds that I just planted. It'll also help some of the magnesium sulfate, also known as Epsom salts, to work into the system. When you add anything to the soil, put it on the top of the soil. Don't bother mixing it in, because nature uses gravity to bring it down deeper into the soil when you water. Now we have more hardy vegetables that you might have been growing in your vegetable garden this year. They can be potted up and brought into the house, so you don't have to walk outside in the cold and the snow and the sleet and the hail. This time of year can get a little messy. And isn't it nice to just relax in your own home? By the way, any window will do. And your home probably is set to about 65, 68 degrees, which is just perfect for any of these vegetables. Kale is a wonderful, hardy, nutritious plant. And in the wintertime, or as soon as it starts getting cold, it's a very sweet, nutty flavor, very tender and crunchy at the same time. I love eating it fresh from the plant. What a great way to have a snack. Again, water them in the morning. And because you're inside and watering them, make sure you have drip pans underneath them. I get creative with anything I have in the house. When you read my documents, you'll see that I am a lazy, frugal gardener. I like to use what's on hand rather than going outside to buy something new. We do much better that way. So kale, the colder it is, the hardier it is, the better it is, the sweeter it is, because nature uses sugar as antifreeze. Kale, an indoor plant or an outdoor plant, but it tastes better if it's from outdoors. Did you know you can plant kale in the springtime and keep it going all the way through till the following spring? I love going outside to harvest kale in the middle of winter, even with snow on the ground. because I know it's going to be so good. And the nutritional qualities are just beyond belief. It's wonderful stuff. One more thing you can use a Mr. bottle for is to fill it up with water, put a healthy squirt of lemon-scented dishwashing liquid, doesn't matter what brand it is, as long as it's not antibacterial. Just a healthy squirt's all you need. And then, if you see any bugs on your plants, you just spray them all around the plant, even underneath the leaves, and the bugs will immediately go away. You do this once a day for about 3 or 4 days, and you won't have a bug problem again. This is good for your edible plants as well as your indoor flowers. It'll keep everything bug-free from spider mites, aphids, and that type of thing. If you're bringing in your plants from outdoors, this is a good thing to have. You spray them outside first, and then bring them into the house, spray them again, put them in quarantine for a day or two, and then spray them again before you bring them into where you're going to have them. It also gives the foliage a little facial treatment to clean the pores. With all this, you should be eating well through the winter and keeping your fingers in the soil. Happy gardening!